So welcome everyone. If you're new and this is your first team huddle, we are so happy to have you on. My name is Brittany Hayes and I'm your Ambassador Diamond Upline. And I'm just so excited that you're here and that you're excited to run with us this year. There is so much happening right now. Scottsdale, you guys, this past weekend was absolutely so amazing. There was just so many gold nuggets shared. There was honestly just so many great people at this event. Every event you go to of the smaller events, there, sometimes is different people you'll see at each event. It's not like conference where everybody's there. But Scottsdale was truly just like the cream of the crop. It was so good. So I'm excited just to share some things with you guys that I learned while I was there. And honestly, like starting all the way from my first night there. So you guys know I got there early. The event was Sunday and I got there Thursday to have my first quarterly offsite. And if you didn't see my post in Fire Tribe or you don't know what I'm talking about, this is something new I'm starting this year after reading the book Essentialism. I'm going to be taking like a quarterly offsite once a quarter, once every 3 months, and just going somewhere new and unplugging and just really spending that time to, meditate and reflect on like what God is trying to show me, for what's next. And then also just take that time to just rejuvenate and just renew my mind. It was literally so amazing. My entire 3.5 years in the business, I've never once been unplugged. I've never had a day that I didn't do anything business related, never had honestly never had a day off, which is fine because when you love what you do, you're not like, oh my gosh, when can I get a day off? And so this was just like such a neat thing for me to do. And it was very refreshing. And I absolutely just want to give a huge thanks to all of our leaders on Fire Tribe. You guys absolutely did such an incredible job holding down the fort. I didn't even feel like anybody needed me or anybody was missing anything with me being unplugged those couple of days. And I just appreciate you guys so much, just taking such good care of everybody and just making sure everybody's needs were met. That meant so much to me, but also just made me so proud that we have such an incredible leadership team. And that, I can step away and you guys have it covered. That was just such an incredible feeling. And also just, again, made me just so proud and so thankful for all of you guys. But I wanted just to share a couple things with you guys that happened kind of like right out of the gates. And more of this I'll be sharing on our next Diamonds and Above Zoom. So if you guys, those of you that are on here that are Diamond and Above, definitely make sure you are on our Zoom next Tuesday, because I'm going to go into like some more detail about this on that Zoom. But one thing that God was just really showing me, he's honestly been showing me this, I would say, for the last 18 months. And it's something that over the last 18 months, I've come to realize so many people don't know about his character. And it makes me so sad because it's been such an emotional thing for me, like him revealing this to me. And so it's something I've become so passionate about sharing every time he does something like this for me. But also leading up to Scottsdale and in Scottsdale, there was so many things that fell under this category that he just like kept reaffirming to me, and it was just so incredible. And that's just that he cares about the little things. He cares about the little things that we care about. He cares about the things, those little details of our business that maybe no one else would think are a big deal. The little things that we care about in life, like he cares about it all. And if you don't know that side of him, I want this moment of this Zoom to inspire you to really get to know this side of him, because he's not a God that only cares about people in another country starving. Like he cares about way more than just major world issues. He cares about your issues, and not just your issues. He cares about things that are important to you that some people might think are silly. I have been probably for like, I don't know, almost a year, probably about 9 months. I write my affirmations every day that I fly first class, and it's something that I've asked God for. I'm like, God, I want to fly first class. And I have no shame, you guys. I don't think God loves me any less for asking to fly first class. I think that he cares about the things we care about, just like we care about the things our kids care about. When your kid comes to ask you for, a new PlayStation, are you like annoyed that he wants a PlayStation? No, like if it's something you can give him, then you do. And for me, it's something that I kind of just realized like 9 months ago, like this isn't something bad that I should feel bad about asking God for. Like he knows I'm bougie, he made me this way, and he loves me just the way I am. And so I started asking, and literally no joke, for the past 9 months, every time I've flown American Airlines, I get upgraded to first class unexpectedly. I fly Southwest a lot, and if you guys fly Southwest, they don't have first class. And that's fine, I love Southwest. But I flew American again for this trip, and the day before my trip, I got alerted that they had upgraded me to first class. And I literally texted a couple people. I texted Jordan, Amanda, and a couple other people, and I was like, this is like just such a crazy moment for me, because it's such a reminder, such a strong reminder yet again, like he cares about the things we care about. If you would just ask him, like you'd be shocked at the things that he'll do for you if you simply ask. It reminds me of like in the prayer of Jabez, when they tell the story of like Mr. Jones going to heaven and there being all these blessings that God wanted to give him across his life that he never thought to ask for because he didn't think God cared about those things. And Mr. Jones was so sad seeing all these blessings in a box that God wanted to give him, but he never thought to ask. And so ever since reading that book, honestly, that probably was around the same time I started asking to fly first class. And so I had prayed, you know, a couple days before the trip, and then sure enough, I found I got upgraded. And it was just such like an overwhelming moment for me because I was like, thank you, Lord. Like I just felt so loved and so special that what a way to start my trip off. And there was a couple other things, I won't bore you guys with the details, but several other very specific things that I was praying for leading up to my trip and when I first got there that were very, very big, like big little things. Like they're things I had absolutely no control over. Like it was physically impossible for me to control it in any way, but I asked him for, and then he did it. And it was just such an incredible reminder that that's what God wants. He wants to be that friend that has your back like no one else can. He wants to do those things for you. He loves to bless you. And so I wanted to share that with you guys. Also, I wanted to share kind of like going on along those lines. So the first 2 days that I was there, when I was unplugged, I had like just some time where I just like spent some time outside, just enjoying the scenery in Arizona, and just was reading this book called Secrets of the Vine. It's the same author of the book of the Prayer of Jabez. It's so good. I highly recommend it. But so many things in that book were literally just like popping off the pages at me. And we're just really like strengthening kind of what I've been sharing with you guys, what I felt like God had already been wanting me to know. And one of the lines that came up that I thought was so good, I wanted to share was the author said, "Have you become an expert at serving God, but a novice at being his friend?" And it went on to say, reading a book about a person isn't the same thing as knowing the person who wrote the book. Break away from dutiful activities into a living, flourishing relationship with God. And he went on to say, God would rather you not sit and do devotions and instead be devoted to him and sit in conversation with him. He said, you can show up every day and read your Bible and do your devotions and like check a box off and you feel like a really good Christian for doing those. But what a sad life if you never actually get to know God as your friend. And you never see him as someone who loves you and wants to be your best friend. And you never get to know him as a friend. And that was just so, so powerful to me. And I just absolutely love that so much, especially after just like those little, really sweet moments that he had, done these things for me leading up to the trip. It was just such like a powerful reminder, like that's what he's wanting from all of us. And so I wanted to share that with you. If you've been in that cycle where you feel like, oh, I'm doing the things that a good Christian should do. I read my Bible, I go to Bible study, I do this, I do that, but you don't believe that God would do the things for you that I just shared that he did for me, then like take a step back and ask yourself, man, maybe I need to like stop doing all these like dutiful activities and I need to start just being his friend and start getting to know him as a friend and start spending that quality time with him and actually like seeing like that side of his character that I clearly don't know exists. And I think that sometimes like that can be hard for us to like realize that, we think that we're doing all the right things, but we don't, at the same time, we don't believe that he would do those things for us. We don't believe that he cares about us, enough to do those things. And I just thought that was just such a powerful reminder, seeing that. And there was something else I wanted to say from the book, but I left it in there, but something else in like one of the final chapters that really stood out to me too, that kind of went along those lines, just talking about how he doesn't even just want to be a friend, he wants to be your best friend. He wants to be the friend that has your back like no one else can. And they said, if you think of all the qualities of like your best friend you have in the world, like the person that you feel the safest with, they said, God can be not only just all those God can be not just all of those things for you, but like even more. Like he can literally like think of the flaws your best friend has. He doesn't have the flaws. Like he has all the good things and he doesn't have any of the bad things. He has even more. But then to top it all off, he can do things for you in his power that your best friend can't even do. And so think of like your best friend who would drop everything for you at the drop of a hat and come bring you something if you needed it, would come, do that favor for you when no one else would. That's what God wants to be for you every single day. And he has the capacity to be it on a whole nother level that no one else can. And I just thought that was such a powerful thing. And I wanted to share that with you guys. But anyways, sorry, I'm trying to read the comments, Ashley. That is so amazing. Anyways, okay, so another thing I wanted to go on that, you guys know we talk about being solution minded all the time. So we had our hot air balloon scheduled with Cami, and there was a few of us that went, probably about 15 of us. We had it scheduled for initially Friday afternoon, Friday evening. So it was supposed to be like a sunset hot air balloon. And we were all super excited about it. And then we found out probably like an hour before we were supposed to get there that it was canceled because of the winds. The winds were just too strong. So we were super bummed, and they just told us that, we wouldn't be able to do it. They didn't really offer any solutions. And we were sitting there talking with Cami, and we were like, this has to happen. Like, we have to make this work. Like, we don't accept this. Like, there's got to be another time we can go. And she's like, well, they said they're already canceling, all the ones on Saturday too. And then Sunday we have the event. And then one of the girls that was sitting there with us, that was invited, she said, well, why can't we just go early Sunday morning before the event? And then Cami's like, I didn't ask that, but I guess, if everybody's willing, we could do that. And we're all like, yeah, of course we'll go. And so long story short, one of the girls there made some phone calls and basically called the people, and we're like, listen, like, we'll come anytime. But we want to come. Like, we don't accept this. We're not leaving, Arizona until we've been on this hot air balloon. And so long story short, the people arranged some things for us, and they got us, we had to get up at like 4 a.m. on Sunday morning before the event. And we went on the hot air balloon and saw the sunset. It was so beautiful. And the people told us when we got there, they said, we've never had a group as adamant as you guys. They said, we have to cancel all the time. They said, like, this is a normal thing. Like, they said, our business literally is dependent on the winds. And they said, this is very common that we have to cancel things, and nobody ever questions it. They're just like, oh man, what a bummer. They said, but you guys, like, we've never experienced this where someone was like, no, you have to figure this out and get us in. And they were literally so amazed. And we were like, well, we're a solution-minded bunch of people. But when we were getting on, the hot air balloon, Cami was just telling us, she's like, I'm just so proud of you guys. She's like, this is why you guys are where you are at. This is why you guys were the group that was invited in the first place, because this is how you guys view life. You view life as like, if there's a will, there's a way. You're so solution-minded. Like, if there's something that can be made to happen, like, you guys are going to figure it out and make it happen. And you guys don't accept no for an answer. You guys don't believe there's any obstacle that you can't face. And she was just going on. And of course, we were all sitting there like very flattered, and it was such an amazing compliment. But as we got on the balloon, I just started like really thinking about it. We were going up, we were in two separate balloons. We were divided in half. And I was just kind of like looking out over it. It was like still a little bit dark. And I'm just like looking down at this beautiful desert view and just thinking, like, that's the opportunity that every single one of us have. Like, all of us have that opportunity to view the world as our oyster, to believe that the same power that runs through, the veins of Jesus Christ runs through us, because we were made in his image. He died to set us free. He died so we could live life abundantly. And he told us that greater things than I even did, you guys will do in your time here, if you will just believe in me and let my power run through you. And I was just sitting there like reflecting on all of this and thinking, like, why does nobody know this? Why does nobody believe that, like, if you want to have your best life and you want to go out there and live life to the fullest you can, why do so many of us just accept defeat and just think, well, whatever will be, will be. If that has to happen, that's, that's the way it's got to happen. And it's just something that just honestly was such a powerful moment for me. It was just such an incredible reminder to me that truly whatever you want to make happen, you can make happen. But if you accept defeat, then that's what you're going to get. If there's, a stumbling block in your business, then, and you just decide to sit down right then and there, and you're like, well, I guess I lost rank. I guess this is what it is. I guess my main person quit, whatever happens, then that's what you're going to get. Like, you will always get what you tolerate. You will always get what you accept. But if you put your foot down and you're like, no, I do not accept this. I'm going to, take the lid off, and I'm going to step up, and I'm going to do more than I've ever done before. And I'm going to, build my team even stronger than I've ever built it before. And I'm going to make things happen. Then that's what you're going to find is a stronger team than you've ever had before. You're going to have higher paychecks than you've ever had before, because you refuse to settle when something happens that wasn't quite what you expected. And so I wanted to share that with you guys and hope that that is just the reminder that you need, whatever's happening in life right now, whether it's your personal life, whether it's business, whatever is happening that you're not quite okay with and you're kind of bummed out about, like, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to decide right now that you're going to do, that you're going to change it? And I want you to know, like, there's some things that maybe tangibly you can't change, like physically, like it's not in your hands, but that doesn't mean it's not in your power to still rise above it. And that's when you go to your best friend. That's like we're just talking about. You go to God and you ask him to do the things that you can't do. You guys, there was a couple really crazy things that, and I don't want to be on here, too long rambling, but there was a couple crazy things that I asked God for that were very big things that I'm telling you, some of you probably wouldn't even believe. Some of you who are the more skeptical nature, you'd be like trying to figure this out. And there was no explanation other than I asked and he showed up and he did it. And I want you guys to know, like, when you start believing and you start asking, that's what you start experiencing. I was talking to Pam the morning before I left on my trip. I had just found out I got upgraded to first class, and I was voice messaging with her that morning. We were texting and I was telling her the story, and she responded back to me. She sent me a voice message and she said, wow, she said, I freaking love this story so much. And she said, the reason this happened is because you didn't worry about how, you just asked for it and you believed it was going to happen, and you went on about your business doing what you know to do, and there you go, and there you have it, it happened. And she said most people will never know that type of power because they won't get out of their head long enough and put their own doubts down to believe God for something big like that. And she said, you keep on believing, you keep on asking, and watch the world continue to fall in your hands. She said, I hope you have the most amazing time in Scottsdale. And I literally was like getting emotional listening to that, and I voice messaged her back and I was like, I will, Pam. I was like, thank you. That was exactly what I needed to hear. I was like, I'm honestly so amazed at everything he's done up to this point, but I know the best is yet to come. And I hope that this trip really just like helps me raise the lid on my belief. I was like, I feel like I believe for a lot right now, but I'm hoping this trip really raises the lid and helps me believe for even more. And so it was so crazy, the two things in particular that happened once I got there, that were literally way even bigger than being upgraded to first class. That was just such an incredible reminder to, you know, to me from the Lord, like, keep on asking, keep on believing. You will see me do things most people will never see me do because you believe I'll do it. And here's the kind of the last thing I want to leave you guys with on that part is, why would God do something for us if we don't even believe he's going to do it? Like, why is he going to show up and show out in our life when we don't even believe he's going to? Like, no, he's going to show up and show out in the people's lives that believe he's going to. And so I encourage you, like, start looking at him through that lens today. Decide right now, even if that wasn't how you were raised, you never grew up knowing that side of him, you never grew up seeing that side of his character, you're determined to get to know it. You're determined to stop just showing up, just like safely reading your devotions every day, but never getting to know him. And you're going to start getting to know him. I'm telling you, if you will do that, and you commit to doing that for the rest of this year, you will see things happen you cannot explain. You will see things happen in your business, in your personal life, that you cannot explain. One of the things I write down in my affirmations every single day is I write down that I have the best possible human experiences. But then right after that, I write down, I encounter the supernatural regularly and am a magnet for miracles. And that's something I write every single day, and I believe it. I believe that I will encounter the supernatural on an everyday, on, you know, normal everyday life when no one else will, because I go out expecting to. I go out expecting for a miracle to fall in my lap. I go out expecting to see something happen that I cannot explain, and to go forward and to share it with someone else. A couple of the things that happened in Scottsdale, I was sharing with Mary Beth, and it was so crazy because Mary Beth 100% gets this. Like, she's someone I felt very safe sitting down and sharing these things with, because I knew she wouldn't think I was crazy at all. I knew she'd be like, wow. And that was, you know, immediately her reaction. And then she shared something with me so crazy that was like almost an identical story of what had happened to me that had happened to her years ago. And it was like almost the same thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, Mary Beth, you're just getting me like so fired up to just keep on asking, keep on believing, and keep on like sharing with people who even don't get it yet. So hopefully one day they will get it. And that kind of leads me to my last thing I wanted to say about that. I was having dinner, was it last night? Yeah, dinner last night with Claire and a couple people that were there from Freedom Legacy. And one thing that Claire was sharing when I was kind of sharing some of this with her is, she said, God wants to do the things in the people's life. God wants to do things like this in people's life who, number one, believe him for it and are expecting him to do it. But then number two, number three, aren't going to be skeptical about it, aren't going to try to explain it away and figure out how it happened where it maybe wasn't God, aren't going to try to, you know, account it to coincidence, but they know it was 1000% God, and they're going to shout it from the rooftops, because that brings more glory to him. That strengthens our faith that he did it for us. He gets the glory for it, but then it strengthens the faith of every single person we share it with, who is all of a sudden realizing, like, man, maybe I've been believing too small. Maybe I should start asking God for bigger things. And I thought that was just such just an incredible reminder too, just hearing that from her, that is one of the huge reasons he wants to show up in our life, because he knows that if we will go out there and keep believing him for more and keep sharing from the rooftops, from the mountaintops, what he's doing, there will be people that we come in contact with who that is exactly what they needed to hear at that time in their life. One of the girls that we were talking to, That's one of Claire's girls. She was listening to one of the things I was sharing that happened to me in Scottsdale, and she literally was getting emotional, and she was like, wow. And Claire's kind of looked at her and she's like, I don't even know what to say, but wow. She was like, he is so good. And so anyways, I'll stop rambling about this, but I just really, if there's, nothing else you guys get from me tonight from what I'm sharing about this trip, I hope you take that away. And I hope you walk away believing him for more and asking him for things that you've never thought to ask him for, and just watch what happens. So anyways, but I guess one of the last things I wanted to share with you guys before we wrap up is I wanted to share with you guys, if you weren't on the live stream especially, just kind of my biggest takeaways of the top 4 speeches. So you guys know we had the top 4 income earners in Scottsdale. We had Joel and Stephanie Dunn, Sherry Litta, John Alcala, we had Christy and Aaron Christensen, and then Marwa Ali. And so it was so incredible. That was one of my favorite parts, was just seeing the 4 of them up there on stage and just hearing just their, biggest things they wanted to share with everybody, things that they've learned, and just, hear just anything that was on their heart that they wanted to share with us. And so one of the things that I thought really stood out to me that Joel and Stephanie Dunn shared is Stephanie said, people always ask her like, oh, what is the work you look like now? Like the work that you do now, what does that look like compared to the work that you did when you first joined? And she said, she always tells people, it honestly doesn't look any different at all. She was like, the work is the same. She's like, and that's why I'm where I'm at today, because I've never slowed down. She's like, when I got started, I knew I wanted to enroll 10 distributors a month so I could have $1,000 in fast starts a month, which you guys now, with the fast start bonuses increasing, it's that'd be $1,500 a month. So it's even more now because they keep adding to our compensation plan, which is so incredible. But she said that was my goal when I first got started, and that's still my goal today. She said it's never not been my goal, which is why I'm a Black Diamond. And I thought that was so powerful. And I hope that anyone on here in a leadership position, like you can like really like soak that in. Like, how hungry were you to go diamond? Now, how hungry are you to continue to do the things you did when you were running a diamond? Like, we've got to continue to do the things that we did when we were so excited and so brand new, and continue to be that excited about what's next, because that's when God can use us in a bigger way than he's using anyone else, because we never get to a point where we're like, oh, well, I've done enough. Like, if anything, we're like, what else do you have for me? Like, what else can I do? I thought that was so powerful. Also, one of my favorite segments from up there was honestly listening to John Alcala. I love Sherilyn and John, but John, if you guys know, he is one of the few top earners, spouses who is not retired. He could be. I mean, Sherilyn makes more than him at this point, for sure. But he has he loves what he does, and his hours are pretty good. And so he just has never quit his job. But he works with Wall Street, and he works in the stock market. And he was sharing up there that with everything going on with coronavirus and the world just being in mass panic right now, which is so silly, but that's a conversation for another day. We were all talking about that in Scottsdale, how like none of us were worried. Like in the airports, like people were literally, you guys, like in masks, like in like hoodies and masks on, and like acting like the world was coming to an end. And we're just like going through living our best life. And that kind of just goes back to like not living your life ruled by fear, living your life knowing that God's got your back, and not being a slave to fear, and not cowering, the second mass panic starts spreading, but really just continuing to go forward and be who you're supposed to be. None of us that were there at Scottsdale were worried about this at all. Like we were joking around, we were doing high five 305, and someone said, oh yeah, you can fist bump if you want, if you don't want to high five. And we're like, we're not scared. We're all high fiving. But it was just so crazy, like watching how different we were out and about compared to a lot of other people. Like we were like, guys, like we're fine. Like we've got way bigger things happening right now than coronavirus. But John was sharing that like, because there's so much mass panic going on, that Wall Street is laying so many people off. Like the stock market has just majorly crashed, and they've laid so many people off, including a lot of his coworkers. And he said so many people that he works with got called in last week and lost their jobs. And he said he didn't know if he was going to lose his. He didn't, and he hasn't yet. But he said, you know what? I could get called in Monday, and they could tell me right now that they're letting me go, and they could have HR send all my stuff home. He said it wouldn't faze me one bit. He said, because this business is all that we need. And he said, and I know that God will always provide through us through this business, because we're willing to show up and be who we need to be. And he said, so I'm not afraid at all. He said, I'm not afraid of coronavirus. I'm not afraid of Wall Street. I'm not afraid of what's happening, because I know that God's got our back, and I know we're covered. And he said, what's sad is most people can't say that because they've never actually been all in with the business. And he said, from the moment he and Sherry Lynn decided to be all in, the business was more profitable for them than his job has ever been. And he said, but that's the power of being all in versus not being all in. And he said, when you're all in, you don't have to fear what's happening in the world, because like, you know that you're okay either way. You know that like you are 100% covered no matter what happens. And he was just sharing that that's a piece that he has right now that no one else he works with has. And I just thought that was so, so powerful. And definitely, like, if you've been someone that maybe you struggle with belief, maybe you struggle with like, oh, could I actually do this? Like, that needs to be your motivation. Like, yes, you can. And this is why. Like, you can't control everything that happens. You can't control things that, come up that nobody saw coming. But what you can control is being the best version of you and believing that God's going to do it for you, just like you would for anyone else, and showing up and putting in the work every single day and making it happen. And knowing that because of that, you're fine, you guys. Like, I know that no matter what happens in my life, I know that I'm going to be okay. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were talking about how, if anything happened to their husband, they didn't know what they would do because they didn't work. And I didn't say this to them, but I was thinking about it later. I'm like, if anything happened to Zach, like, this business has me and the kids covered. Like, I've got 5 kids. It's a lot of kids. I wouldn't fear my life financially at all because of what this business has done. And I think that one of the greatest pieces that we can have is like knowing that like we've showed up and put in the work, we've done what we're supposed to do. And so we're not worried if things come our way that we didn't see coming. And so I wanted to share that from John. I just thought that was so powerful. Also hearing Marwa talk about how, she hasn't just changed her life, but she's changing generations to come. She's changing an entire culture with this business. If you guys don't know Marwa's story, she's Arabic, she's from Sudan. And she literally, after moving here, coming to this country as an immigrant and starting the business, she has literally changed so many women's life from her country who've also moved here, who have been, literally felt worthless their whole life. Like, she's empowered them, and she's, helped them believe for more, from a country that, women aren't supposed to work. Women are supposed to be less than, keep their heads down, keep to themselves. She's empowering these women to stand up and live a life bigger than anyone back home would ever even permit them to live. And so hearing her talk about that was just so, so powerful. And she also shared something I thought was so good, is she said all her life, she knew she wanted life to look different. She said back home in Sudan, that didn't sit well with her. She didn't like the way things were. And obviously most of you on here today, or if not all of you, you can't relate to that. Like, we can't relate to what she went through. But what we can relate to is maybe we grew up, in things our family struggled. Maybe we grew up and there was some lack. Maybe we grew up and we weren't able to go to the nicest school. Maybe we, our parents weren't able to help us with college. And so we had a lot of student loan debt, and we're like, man, I wish I could help my kids with that, so they didn't have that same burden I had to carry. Whatever, you can think of your own personal example. But Marwa said growing up, she didn't like the way things were, and she didn't accept it even as a child. She's like, there has to be more than this. And she said she didn't know how. She had no clue what vehicle would come her way where she could literally tangibly help change that dynamic in her culture, but she deep down knew there had to be a way. And she said she's always had her eyes wide open for opportunity. And she shared that that's why when she saw this business, she did jump in, because she was like, is this the opportunity that I've always prayed for? And she literally shared with us, she said that was honestly like what gave her that blind faith to just go for it and be the rock star she is today, is because she could never shake the feeling, I've prayed my entire life for an opportunity. This has to be it. And I think that that's the power of someone who lives their life literally looking for opportunity at every turn versus someone who lives their life skeptical. But that's the power. I've never met a skeptical person that inspires me. And if you think really hard, you haven't either. But everyone that inspires you is someone who's always had big, crazy faith and believe God for more than anyone else could ever even imagine. And so I just hope that like hearing that, like that inspires you, like if that's an area you need to work on, to like work on that area and watch the good that you can do in the world, because people are not drawn to people that are skeptical. I'm repelled from people who are skeptical. Like, I don't even want to talk to them about the good things that are happening in my life, because I'm like, you're not even going to get it. But I am like drawn to people who are so excited and so like empowered by hearing things like that. I'm drawn to people who are also talking about big, audacious things. I'm drawn to the people who are talking about believing that God's going to, help them do something that nobody else has ever done before, help them, accomplish something that, seems crazy to most people. And so be the person that people are drawn to, be the person that's always believing God for the best, and just watch what happens and watch the people that come into your life because of it. And then the last thing that I wanted to share is just all four of the top 4 income earners, when they were up there, like one thing that they all had in common was they just all simply put said that they knew that regardless of how much work they had to do, it was going to be worth it. They all knew short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. They all knew that if they just showed up, even when life was not happening the way they wanted it to, they knew things would be okay. And all of them shared different things that had happened in their life where they didn't want to get out of bed. They didn't want to be consistent with their business. They didn't want to do things that they knew they needed to do, but they ignored their feelings and just did it anyways. And now here they are. And I want you guys to know, like Zig Ziglar says, and this is something I can personally attest to in my life as well too. Zig Ziglar says, I've had problems without money and I've had problems with money. I'd rather have problems with money any single day over problems without money. And I want you guys to know money may not be everything, but having problems in your life that you maybe can't quite control when you're broke is a lot harder than having problems in your life that you can't quite control, but when you have an abundant supply of money. Because money gives you options. It gives you, I might not control this happening, but I can control the fact that I have the funds to hire help to help me through, whatever rough patch I'm going through. I might not can control that this is happening and that my schedule is so crazy, but I can control the fact that I have money to make arrangements that I need to make. And so that was just one thing that I thought was just so powerful. All of them sharing that it didn't matter what came their way. They didn't feel like doing. It didn't matter what came their way. That was, unexplained, unexpected hardships. They just showed up and did the work anyways. And now here they are making an incredible income where they can honestly handle almost anything that comes their way. And so I wanted to share that. I know so often when things happen in our life, like it's really easy to not see past it. It's really easy to just like look at what's happening and get crippled by it. And if you're in here watching and you've had things that have happened, this year, last year, maybe like, medical issues, maybe, marriage issues, maybe just, I don't know, financial things, you name it. And you found yourself, just like cowering down to that defeat and cowering down to that depression, to that anxiety, whatever. You know what I'm talking about, but you also know it doesn't feel good when you just sit there and lay down. You don't feel any better. You actually, I promise you, will always feel better if you still do what you need to do. The days I make myself do the things that I don't want to do, even when my life is hard, I feel proud at the end of the day because I'm like, you know what? This was a harder day for me than I've had in a while, but I still showed up for my team. I still showed up for my business. I still showed up for my network and my audience who watches me and is inspired by me. I still showed up. And I promise you, like, you will never, ever, ever regret showing up. You will only regret not showing up. And so I hope that if there's one decision you can make as we part ways tonight that you can make for 2020 is a firm decision that no matter what happens, you're not going to be ruled by your feelings. You're going to show up no matter what happens. Because if you do, I promise you, you're going to start seeing breakthroughs in your business. You're going to start seeing yourself be stronger than you've ever seen yourself be before. You will realize, oh, wow, I'm stronger than I've ever believed I was. And you'll start seeing things happen that you can't quite explain because simply put, you stuck it out. You didn't lay down when the going got tough. It's really easy to post when you're having a fantastic day. It's really easy to post when like everything's going right. Your kids are smiling for pictures. You have these fun things you're doing and you're like, oh, what a happy-go-lucky day. I've got so much to talk about. It's really easy to, sign customers when everyone answers your follow-up messages that day. And they're like, yes, here I am. I'm ready to get my order in. It's really easy to do the things when it's easy. But here's the mark of someone who is not just, kind of good, not just great, but is legendary. They do things even when it's not easy. They do things even when their kids are being crazy, when their kids are sick, when their husband's working long hours, when they're stretched thin, when they feel like a hot mess, when they feel like they can't do anything else, when they feel overwhelmed with anxiety and overrun with depression. And they keep showing up anyways and doing what they know to do because they know the best is yet to come and they know that God's best is out there for them. And they have to keep standing up, keep rising up, and keep pursuing it. Those are the people that get to the places where you see them and you're like, man, how do I get there? That's how they got there, is they kept going. And so I hope that is, if there's anything you make to, any decision you make today, leaving tonight, that you make for yourself as an unwavering decision for 2020, is that you're going to keep going no matter what happens. And you're going to refuse to believe that lie from the enemy when life gets hard, that it's too hard for you and that you can't keep going. And I promise you, if you make that decision, and if all of us on here make that decision, we will watch this team do things that no team has ever done. We will watch this team do things that we've never done before. We'll outdo ourselves on a whole new level. And that is how we go Black Diamond, you guys. That's how we take this team to Double Ambassador. That's how we turn heads, make waves, is we stand up even when it doesn't feel good. We stand up even when the going gets tough, and we inspire so many people along the way. I'm telling you, if you want people to look at you and wonder, man, how can I be like her? You keep going on your hardest days, and you will find people that are inspired that you didn't even know were watching. So I love you guys so much. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I know it's getting late, but I love you guys so much. I want to encourage you guys to get to one of these corporate events this year. They are so powerful. I will be at the one in Orlando, which is in July. There's also one in Nashville in April. There's one in Philadelphia in, don't quote me, but I think it's in May. So I encourage you to get to one that you can. If you can't get to one of the main corporate events, get to the try-its. I will be in Tulsa on March 21st. So if you are anywhere in driving distance of Tulsa, I'm talking to you Dallas people, you guys are 3 hours from Tulsa, drive up to Tulsa for this event. I'm going to be there with Cammie and Monique, and there's several other Dallas people coming. Amanda Stein's driving up with some of her team. There's going to be a lot of people there. So get to the event in Tulsa if you can. And then I will be in Denver, Colorado on April 25th with Katie Park. We'll be doing an event there. And then I will be in Gulf Shores in Orange Beach, Alabama on April 4th with Deborah and Chelsea and their team. We have several other leaders coming to that, and Mary Beth coming to that. So we've got so much stuff on the calendar. And then I'll be in Dallas the end of May. So you Dallas people, you guys have two opportunities. You guys have Tulsa on March 21st, and you have Dallas on May 29th. So you guys have two things to get to. So anyways, I love you guys. Oh yeah, Jordan just said, I forgot about Jordan's. Jordan has Lynchburg next week. Is that the 18th, Jordan? 19th? 18th. Okay, the 18th. So next week, you guys, if you are anywhere on the East Coast, get to Lynchburg. So I'm talking to you guys anywhere in Virginia, North Carolina, heck, even if you're South Carolina, you could drive up to Lynchburg. Even if you're in the DC area, drive down. Lynchburg, you guys, is such a cute little area. That's where we all went to school. Well, I say we all, me and Jordan and Amanda and Zach and Josh. Or no, did Josh go to Lynchburg? He was somewhere around there. And Louis, we all were up there together, and it was such a cute area. That's where we all met. There's so much to do. Pam Souter will be there. You will have so much fun with the team. That's going to be a fun event, you guys. Like, that's going to be an event that you're going to be glad you made it to, not just for the fire that's going to happen at the event, but just for the connecting time after. Like, anytime you can purposefully put yourself in a room with people who are where you want to be, people who are ahead of you in life, and you can just sit there and soak in everything that they have to spill out on you, I promise you, you will always be thankful for it. So anyways, get to an event, check the corporate calendar. If you're not sure if there's any more near your area, just go to events.iworks.com. But I love you guys. I cannot wait to see all of you guys in the cities that I'm going to. Jordan and Josh can't wait to party with you guys in Lynchburg. They're driving 3 hours to get there, you guys, and I'm flying to all my events. So if we can drive across the country and fly across the country to get to these, you guys can show up to them too. I'm telling you guys, show up to go up. You will never, ever, ever regret showing up. I can't think of one time in my business I've ever regretted showing up. In fact, even the moments when I'm really tired and I'm like, man, am I pushing myself too hard? Like, should I maybe sit this one out? But I go anyways. I'm always so thankful that I went. There's always something that happens, some mic drop moment that I needed to hear, some like moment that pierced straight through to my heart that I know God was like speaking directly to me that I would have missed out on if I wouldn't have gone. So show up, don't let the enemy keep you from the events. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good night, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye guys.